The Philadelphia Eagles have broken what used to be the universally accepted method of winning a Super Bowl championship, that you must have a tier 1 level quarterback. If you don't, you have no shot. You are virtually screwed. And with Patrick Mahomes being the boogeyman of tier 1 quarterbacks, if Josh Allen can't get past him, then what chance does Jalen Hurts have? The Eagles obviously have a much better roster, but the difference in quarterback talent is why Kansas City was favored by 1.5 points in Super Bowl 59. And then we all saw what happened. Pure dominance by the play of Philadelphia, by way of the classic saying when it comes to football, that the game starts and ends in the trenches. That tier 1 level quarterback, that is Patrick Mahomes, was fighting for his life thanks to the Eagles' defensive line. Didn't even have to blitz one time, just rushed for all game long. Mahomes could never get into a rhythm. And while the Chiefs' defense did shut down Saquon in the run game, their pass rush was neutralized by the Eagles' offensive line. Eagles GM Howie Roseman is the best GM in the league, and there isn't even a close second because he has stayed true to that old saying when it comes to this sport. Stockpiling talent on the offensive and defensive lines. They are, the Eagles, the shining example of controlling the line of scrimmage. On offense, hey, good luck thinking that you can make plays in the backfield. On defense, we'll just rush 4. We'll have an extra body in the backfield, either at the second level or the third level. We don't even need to blitz. In 3 out of the last 4 drafts, the Eagles have drafted multiple linemen within the first 3 rounds. And it's not just a quantity approach, draft as many players as you can and see who sticks. Howie Roseman and the Eagles scouting department, they don't miss. They hit on damn near every one of those draft picks within the first 3 rounds. In 2021, in the second round, drafted Landon Dickerson, now a 3-time Pro Bowl left guard. In the third round that year, Milton Williams, a backup role in 4 years, has never played more than 48% of the defensive snaps in a season. Even so, this year, coming off the bench as a D tackle, 5 sacks, 7 tackles for losses, 10 quarterback hits. In Super Bowl 59, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for losses, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery. He'll be a free agent this year, and he's going to get paid. 2022, in the first round, Jordan Davis, a true nose tackle, just clogs up the middle, too much beef. The second round of that year, Cam Jurgens, the heir apparent to Jason Kelce. And in 2023, in the first round, they drafted Jalen Carter, who is Fletcher Cox reborn. The man's a force, second team All-Pro this past season. They also selected Nolan Smith, the edge rusher out of Georgia, same school as Jalen Carter, having to step up this past year for the injured Brandon Graham, and did a fine job. They not only have great talent in the trenches, they also have great depth, and they have immediate quality replacements readily available to step in and fill the void of big names walking away, whether it's free agency or retirement, such as recent examples Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox. For their offensive line and defensive line in Philadelphia, it's a never-ending, well-oiled machine. They never skip a beat. Of course, not to be outdone by his own success in building the trenches, but Howie Roseman also identifies the area of need on the roster and doesn't F around. He identifies the weak spots and immediately addresses them, understanding that in 2023, one of the worst defenses in football, brings in Vic Fangio to be the new defensive coordinator, signs Zach Bond, and for Vic Fangio, the new DC, to recognize with all of the awareness, I understand, Zach Bond, that you've been an edge rusher damn near all your life. We're going to make you an inside linebacker. And what an impact that he had this past 2024 season. First team All-Pro linebacker. Good for him. And then drafted Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. So if you were Howie Roseman after last offseason going into the 2024 year, you could say to yourself, and I'm sure he did, man, this defense at all 3 levels, we have 0 weaknesses. And that's exactly how it played out. Going from the 26th ranked defense the year before to number 1 in the league, 31st versus the pass, to the number 1 pass defense, and 30th in points allowed to the number 2 scoring defense. And of course, this is more of a no-brainer move than it is a genius move by Roseman, that is signing Saquon Barkley in free agency, which subsequently makes it a dumbass move by Giants GM Joe Schoen, who has somehow, someway managed to not get fired, letting Saquon walk in the first place because, damn it, we're committed to Daniel Jones. Okay. But the proof is in the pudding, as made by Howie Roseman. Trying to find a quarterback that can go pass for pass with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes is extremely hard to do, almost impossible. And while Jalen Hurts is a very good quarterback, I wouldn't necessarily put him in that first tier. And the way that you overcome that gap between Mahomes and Jalen Hurts is by amplifying the trenches. Play bully ball. Wear your opponents down at the line of scrimmage. It's almost like 12 rounds of boxing within the legal confines of football. Mike Tyson once famously said that everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. And once that punch connects, everything that your opponent game planned for gets abandoned, thrown out the window. You send your opponent into the shadow realm fighting for their lives. The Chiefs in Super Bowl 59 went from having a game plan to figuring out how to survive between the whistles. And it was obviously too much for Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes, in the conversation for greatest quarterback of all time, got smoked because the Eagles brought the chaos. And to bring the chaos consistently over the course of a 4-quarter game, no matter how great of a quarterback that you are, no quarterback can survive that. The Eagles, I believe, have broken the spell, the common belief as it pertains to winning a Super Bowl. Do you have a tier 1 quarterback? Do you have the better quarterback? You do? Okay, that means you will be successful. Howie Roseman's approach is quite simple. It's not just one player, one position, it's the team. We need to put together the best possible 53-man roster. Everyone's so focused, not just fans, the vast majority of fans, I don't want to make it absolute, but certainly damn near all the GMs across the league is so focused on the quarterback position. Quarterback, and then receivers, and the rest of the team, and we'll figure it out. That approach is easy to rack up wins in the regular season. In the postseason, that focus will result in your downfall. What the Eagles have done is not a fluke. It's very much sustainable. We want dogs up front. All the schemes you draw up means nothing to us. We're just going to kick your asses. See what you do then. For the offseason, going into free agency, the Eagles have around $18 million in cap available before cuts and restructures. I could see Darius Slay being a potential cap casualty, having a $14 million cap hit in 2025. He's going to be 34 years old. The Eagles have two choices here. Release Darius Slay post June 1st, eat $9.5 million in dead cap next season, and then eat another $13.3 million in dead cap for 2026, or let him play out the final year of his deal and then eat $25 million in 2026 because of the past restructures and void years. So it seems pretty obvious to me anyway, the direction that they're going to go as it pertains to Slay. I'd be shocked if he ends up returning next season. I don't expect for Philadelphia to be big buyers in free agency outside of re-signing their own Zach Bond and Josh Sweat, Mekhi Becton and Milton Williams. They're going to have competitive markets, likely too rich for the Eagles' blood. So that leaves the following positions of need for Philadelphia heading into the draft. A second unit defensive tackle to replace Milton Williams. You're also going to need an edge rusher. Brandon Graham, at this stage in his career, fresh off a Super Bowl victory, likely going to retire. If you feel confident that Nolan Smith can be the new BG opposite of Josh Sweat, assuming that you bring him back, cool. You're still going to need to draft an edge anyway to take over the old Nolan Smith job of being the next man up off the bench. Or if you're not quite sold on Nolan Smith, you draft an edge anyway and create healthy competition to see who rightfully earns the job. You're also going to need a cornerback replacing Darius Slay and a right guard to replace Mekhi Becton. And I actually did a mock draft for Philadelphia trying to project what Howie Roseman is going to do They've got 7 picks, and for this mock, no trades whatsoever. We're going to stand pat. At pick 32, the Eagles select Donovan Jackson, guard out of Ohio State, to replace Mekhi Becton. Pick 64, Trey Amos, cornerback from Ole Miss, to replace Darius Slay. At pick 96, Jordan Phillips, D tackle out of Maryland, to replace Milton Williams. 129, filling in for the old Nolan Smith job, next man up, or providing competition for Nolan Smith for the starting edge rusher job, Tyler Barron, edge rusher from the University of Miami. Pick 162, Tommy Hill, cornerback from Nebraska. 166, Terrence Ferguson, tight end from Oregon. And lastly, pick 169, Jay Higgins, linebacker from Iowa. And just to provide some additional names for in the event the first 3 picks of this mock draft is not available for Philadelphia, pick 32, I like Jack Sawyer, edge rusher from Ohio State. Pick 64, Deion Walker, D tackle from Kentucky, or Marcus Imbow, right guard from Purdue. And at pick 96, Denzel Burke, cornerback from Ohio State. This approach for the Eagles is a sustainable approach for success. 2 out of the last 3 years having Super Bowl appearances, 1 Lombardi trophy. So for them, they're like, all right, bring on Patrick Mahomes. Took care of him already. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, whoever. You, the opponent, are a welterweight going up against us, the heavyweight. And we're going to beat the hell out of you, and there's nothing you can do about it.